I got a QB that's really serious. Like his father really takes. I sound all right.
Yeah, you good.
Cool. His father really takes his whole training program like serious. Like you know what I'm saying. Like he's a part of the whole legacy over here. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
he went to high school here, so he got his oldest son in it, and he got like 4 other boys. Like you know what I'm saying, and they're all geared around sports.
Okay.
You know, like I met him in baseball, so they play baseball. Like his kid is the best kid in our league. You know what I'm saying? But just as good as he is in baseball.
He wasn't on your team, was he?
Nah.
Okay.
Mm-mm. So he coached another team, so you don't get to pick other coaches' kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
okay.
But he's really good in baseball, and I can only imagine how it's going to transfer over in football. You know what I'm saying? But like, dude has this dude on locks. Only thing I'm concerned about is I'm worried about man for real. If he'll be, I know he has bursts, but I don't know if he has consistency. You understand what I'm saying?
As far as what?
I don't know how
like
dependable. I don't know how dependable he'll be come season time.
Well, it takes time. This is what? It's only his second season, though, right?
It's gonna be his first. He never played.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. You know what I'm saying? But you know how like
he played last year. Yeah, so he'd be all right.
But you know how some kids are just like dogs. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering, like, is he that kind of kid to be like the dog? He competes well.
What position you got him playing?
2. So I have him. I got another kid. So why do I need him to be this, right? I need him to be this because our numbers are low. You understand what I'm saying? So I already know.
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit of Iron Man.
Oh, it's all. I mean, you know, it's Pee Wee, so it's twerps, right? So they all we never came off the field, if you remember. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't play Pee Wee. I didn't get to play that. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to play that young. I didn't get to play till. I didn't get to play until I was 10. My mom never let me play.
Bro, you was older. You was younger than 10. Because my first year with the Flashes, I think Leifer, you was on that team too. With the Flashes.
I was in 6th grade.
No, we wasn't that old.
That was my first year.
Leifer, when was your first year of football?
Maybe 5th or 6th grade, something like that.
Yeah, so if y'all was in 5th, I was in 6th.
Maybe so.
Yeah, probably 5th or 6th.
I want to think about.
I didn't even move to Swissvale until I was in 5th grade.
Oh well, okay. I remember Leifer. Did you play center? Were you the center, or was that Duder?
Definitely wasn't me. I don't know if Duder played center either, though. I thought he played halfback.
No, it was Mark.
I don't remember.
But that year when we had Vance,
did Duder play on? He played on our team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But Reese was like with us for like a week, and then
1 practice. Oh yeah, 1 or 2 practices.
Yeah, and then ended up moving up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I you know, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, give him a chance. Let it.
I mean, he got the chance.
He'll be all right.
He'll be all right. He's the only chance. But let me go ahead and start this up. Yo, so I just want to point out, this is therapy for us all. Like week in, week out. We look forward to it. Listen,
fellas, it's gonna be one of them nights.
It's gonna be, I'm telling you. What's good? Another Tuesday night at 9, man. Prototype Dad back in the building, man. You know, we're doing this bi-weekly thing, so we're just trying to keep up, you know, and update our fans, keep everybody engaged. We got to start doing the reruns when we're not going to be on, huh? I think that.
Yeah, as long as you're going to be Coach Spurrier.
I see no end to it too. That's the crazy. Like, how you can kind of like.
We got enough content. Yeah.
I see.
Keep
no
feeding the
end
people. Feed the people, man.
I got an interesting story today. Oh man, I a little running at Kroger. We'll talk about that a little later, But I guess So I got some things, some keynotes up, right? Like I've been seeing a lot about the BET Awards. So normally I'd be asking you about the news. None of us watch it, but none of y'all caught any of the clips. What do you? So
I saw something about Jeezy. I think Jeezy had a performance. Was that the BET Awards? Yeah, I was.
Here's the question.
I've been staying away from it.
I know none of us watched it, right? Because we don't want that poison. Like if we're talking about what we feeding our souls with, BET Awards is definitely one of those things that none of us are going to watch. But why would y'all stay away from that? What is so scary about the BET Awards that we don't even bother with? What you got, Mo?
Like I said, obviously this is just projection or hyperbole because I don't know. I didn't watch it, but nothing positive was going to come of it. It was all going to be about twerking or drugs or whatever. And I was just like, I don't want any parts of this. And maybe I just graduated past that at the point of life I'm in. Because I'm not trying to bash nobody or whatever. But it just wasn't nothing about it made me like. And I saw 15 minutes to a song, and nothing about it made me want to turn it on. So it's just there was nothing that resonated with me at all. I'm sure there was probably some. Lifetime Achievement Award, it might have been positive, but the other 58 minutes was going to just be ratchet, and I just didn't want no parts of it.
What you got, Lee? Why would you stay clear of the BET Awards? Why does it coming on not attract you to it? Because it's supposed to be Black excellence, right? It's supposed to be something for us to enjoy. So why would you be like, you know what? Nah, I'm not watching that. After he relocates.
Yeah, my bad. Had to move into my own space. Got kicked out. But I haven't watched the BET Awards in a long time, man. I don't know how long it's been around, but it feels like 20 years. Man, I stopped watching it a long time ago when I felt like it was just it was only emphasizing on the negative aspects or the ghetto ratchet bull crap, you know what I mean? And it was perpetuating these stereotypes. And it was like, why do we need to take something that we're trying to claim as our own and then project this stuff out into the world that we're trying to negate on the other side? So I haven't really watched it in a long time because it wasn't really my cup of tea. And for the most part, my thing is if you're going to do an award show, what it kind of started looking like the Nickelodeon Awards to me, like a clown show. You know what I mean? I just wasn't feeling that. So I was just like, it just hasn't been for me in a long time. So I haven't watched that. But on the flip side, I don't watch any award show anymore, Grammys or none of that stuff. So I don't watch any of that stuff. So, to be fair.
I don't, I'm in the same boat. I don't watch any award shows, not even, what is it, the ESPYs? That's the sports one, right? Right, the ESPYs? That's the sports one.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah, I don't even watch that one. You see, we're all sports fanatics.
Well, I haven't watched that either.
I wouldn't call myself a fanatic, but we're all sports fans.
Yeah, for sure.
To a degree, right? So, it's just something about award shows that I just don't want to watch. And it's not like I don't want to congratulate people, for doing good things. But I always feel like there's some type of sacrificial secret society. I don't know, man. It's just, if there is or if there isn't, I don't want any parts of it. You know what I'm saying? So just the slightest chance. I even feel some type of way about watching halftime at the Super Bowl. I feel the same kind of way. I don't really want to watch that either, based on the same kind of merits. You know what I'm saying? But to go into the next time, a lot of things politically have been going on this week. I mean, which we all can tap into. I know this. What I'm about to say is probably one of the biggest distractions, and it means nothing to what really went on in the debates or whatever. But what are black jobs? Hold on, time out. Only for this one because he's in HR, and he's probably going to have a clear perspective on what a black job might be. But what are black jobs? Leaf, what you got?
I don't know what a black job is. My thing is, I don't know. I think he has a lot of good business-minded people in his circle who afford him information to be able to get through some of the hoops that he gets through, because when he speaks, he's not very articulate, and some of the things that he says aren't really what he means, and some of the things that he means he really says. So it's just difficult to try to get through it sometimes. Like sometimes, I don't want to give him too much credit and say, man, he's very clever the way he puts words together, because sometimes he does things for a reason. He, specifically, he knows who his base is, so he placates to his base. But what I think he meant is, more job opportunities for black people or people of color. That's what I think he meant. But this whole black jobs thing, it's like, come on, man. He knew it would get aroused out of folks. He knew it would play to that nature, and he doesn't really care. He's a guy who just wants to win. He doesn't care how he wins. He doesn't care how dirty it gets. He doesn't care about any of that. He just wants to win by hook or by crook. So I think he's just willing to say anything in order to get, in order to incite the right people to get them votes and get what he wants done. But he already put a lot of things in place. So I don't know what a black job is, but I'm guessing that's not exactly what he meant.
Mo, what you got? Hold on, time out.
All right.
Hold on, time out. Let me go. So you can go. So you can really do your thing. Okay. I don't understand how you pigeonhole a job for anybody, any culture, any religion, or any kind of people. I just don't understand how you say this job is for a particular type of person. You know what I'm saying? We know what the stereotypical thing is. I've had jobs where I'm like, you know what, this is for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't gonna say a janitor, but like let's say a janitor. If you're a sanitation worker in a hotel, what does that typically look like? You understand what I'm saying? Is like, and I would feel some type of way if I was working, even when it comes to like a warehouse job, working at a warehouse. I also feel like, I might be too intellectual for this. I'll have fun with it because I know it's a temporary situation, because I have the know-how and whereabouts to be like, okay, let me move on. This is only temporary. But we know people that's done that for years. You know what I'm saying? So, but what do those people typically look like? You know what I mean? And I don't say it's not a color. Sometimes it is. It's not a color or person, but it's a mentality that person looks like for me. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't understand how you be like, yeah, we're just going to reserve all these jobs solely for black people. You know what I mean? But go ahead. Go ahead, Mo.
All right. So let's start off with this. We got to keep in mind how old Trump is, man. So he's from a different time period. And it's to the point to where he says the quiet part out loud. I always said he was going to ruin democracy. He was going to ruin this country because he's going to ruin the illusion of democracy. And what he did was he said the quiet part out loud. So what is a black job? In today's day and age, I mean, it's any job, because for the most part, we can have any job as long as you have the education, the skill set, blah, 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 blah. In his time, that wasn't always the case. And when he said that, the first thing I thought of was they would much rather have that second-class citizen be a black person, because for whatever reason, we'll allow it for a long time, and we're not going to unite long enough to get ourselves out of it. And that's what they're used to, and that's what they would love to get back to. Like when they talk about, make America great again, that's the kind of stuff that they're talking about. Versus a Mexican, and I hate to be this blunt, but what they'll do is they'll go and they'll take that black job, get resources, have 5 families in one house, get it to the point to where they don't even need a job no more, have a landscaping business the whole time, and then they'll climb out of it, and then they'll operate outside of the system. Whereas for the most part, we'll just kind of keep that job forever and just be the underclass forever, and hope, heaven's in the afterlife. You know what I mean? Or I did this job so my baby could go to college. Everybody don't think like that, and that's how we think, and that's the kind of Negro that he's used to. And I have some. We'll probably touch on him.
So are you saying black people are long suffering?
Because
we'll suffer till we die and be like,
we've been brainwashed. Yeah, we've been brainwashed. That suffer through this because heaven is in the afterlife. God forbid that this is supposed to be heaven. We didn't waste our time. But what's funny about it is a family member, in-law, or whatever, actually used to work for Trump 30 years. So some of the stories that kind of comes out is kind of bananas. Let's just keep in mind he's from a different time period, and in that time period, they were used to us being that subservient Negro, and that's what he would like to get back to, because he knows he can keep his thumb on us, and we ain't gonna move. Like, remember, we all got babies. Remember when you could put that baby there in the corner of the couch while you watching the game, and on commercials you would turn your head and they still be there? Yeah. Like, that's what they want. Yeah, that's what they want. And that's what he's speaking to when he's talking about black jobs. And again, this is our problem. All we want to do is we want to have sound bites, and we want to complain. We don't ever want to do anything about it, because I saw folks, and we're so unserious. We want to get online and we want to have lists of black jobs and think it's funny. Oh, janitor, what they said, bottle girl, and Magic City dollar picker upper, or whatever. Like, all that's fine and good.
That was out there? There's a whole list of that?
Yeah, people are making up lists being so unserious of stuff. Like, like it said shade tree mechanic, like black jobs and stuff like that. But with all that being said, I tell you what, do that to the tiny hats. Do something that offends them. They ain't gonna do more than lists. They gonna come and they gonna do something about your pockets, or make sure that you don't get elected. So think about it. Like when you was growing up in the lunchroom, you only picked and made the jokes on the person that wasn't gonna get back at you. That's all it's gonna take is one time for us to get back at him, and he'll be like, "Oh, that ain't somebody I need to play with." So, but that's what it was. Now, as far as in the reality, I think black people can have any job. Now, obviously, in my opinion, I think there's a certain level of truth to every stereotype, to be honest. So stuff like customer service, like these are the things that came to mind in real world application. Like I thought about the warehouse associate, I thought about the customer service person, I thought about the janitor, and not even the janitors so much anymore, because that's more so going to the Hispanics, to be honest. But with that being said, that was a lot of the stuff that I started thinking about. But that's okay. Like, far be it for me to shun anybody. Look, hey man, you could be robbing somebody, so thank you for doing whatever job it is that can help you feed your family and not turn to a life of crime. So by no means am I looking down on you. Hey man, a job's a job. So I hope you value it, and I hope that it gives you what you need. So I'm definitely not looking down on those jobs at all.
What you got, Lee?
I mean, I went already, but I did want to follow up, because I didn't take it like that at all. And I think sometimes people, they hear things out of their own triggers and out of their own biases. So they, they come up with all kind of stuff. Once they hear something from somebody who's perceived as a racist or perceived to be as whatever, they automatically jump to the worst conclusion. And like I said, when I heard it, I didn't necessarily jump to that conclusion. I was like, I feel like he's playing on that because he knows what that's going to do. You know what I mean? He knows what that's going to do. I don't think he even try to elaborate on that at all. But you know what I mean? I didn't necessarily like it. Never even dawned on me to try to create a list or try to think of what a black job meant to me. I just felt like he wanted to loosely try to placate to some black voters because he's going to need to get some black voters to get in there, while then, you know, offend other black voters in order to appease some of the racist groups that he needs the votes to get in there. And I think he was just trying to play both sides of the fence without really, you know what I mean, without really putting a lot of extra thought into what it does black jobs meant. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, you know, oftentimes people they run off with it because they already have an idea in their head and they get triggered by it and they allow that to, you know, to make their imagination go wild. But yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's, I don't want to give him too much credit, but you know, I feel like the dude is just clever, man. He knows how to rile you up and play those strings in order to get what he needs to get, man. And you know, Trump is going to always be Trump.
So, and I think that's a fair point. So how about this? And I don't want to get too sidetracked about this. So give me your minds for a second. So when you think of South Georgia and Alabama jobs for people picking fruit, they get paid $5 per 2 buckets. Whose job is that? And I'm talking today. Who does that job?
Probably somebody from Mexico or South America.
And there was a time when that used to be our job. And that's the type of stuff that, like, we don't want them jobs no more. So that's okay. So in him saying, hey, black jobs, like no one even thinks of like, oh, we're out here picking fruit for, you know, cents on the dollar. At that point, that's where I think we need to be more offended, or holding to the fire and say, well, what exactly did you mean by that, sir? Yeah. You know what I mean? So, because I think I'm very much pro us, I'm a little bit more offended or triggered than most when it comes to us. And I'm also, but I'm fair because I'm also very much triggered when it comes to when we do something that ruins our racial image as well, because I know how this can be used against you in kind of the places and in the circles that it matters. So that's why I'm very sensitive to it, because at the water cooler, if somebody says that, I'm gonna be like, nah, we ain't doing that. Like literally, like I don't go to the office much anymore. But if I saw a bunch of white dudes at the water cooler and they were like, black jobs, I would be offended and I'd have said something to them. But everybody might not. But with that being said, man, I'm very much pro us. So that's why it triggers me.
You know, there's this girl that posts, she went to like Harvard and Yale or whatever, and she like breaks down like anything that passes, like laws and stuff. And she was kind of talking about how today the Supreme Court passed a law that presidents can no longer be.
That was yesterday. Yeah, like they almost have immunity.
Yeah, they have immunity.
They have immunity for any action that they do within office. So during their terms, they have immunity and can't be prosecuted for anything they do while in office.
Yeah.
So
something about sending SEAL Team 6 for a murder head or something crazy. Yeah.
But that stuff, like that's that stuff, like I could see that. But part of what's going to be why that plays a role, January 6th, as of right now, the way that law is written and the way that law came over, he's immune from anything that happened January 6th. That's why that's important.
There you have it. Break any law you want if you're the president. I guess that's why it's important for him to do it again, because he got some more stuff to break. Let me tell you about something that happened today. I had a very prototype dad moment, prototype coach, prototype man moment. I go to Kroger, and as I'm going through Kroger, I'm looking for like cucumbers. So I walk up to an attendant, and I'm like, cucumbers. And he's like, how are you? He said something to that, like, how are you? And I'm like, cucumbers. how are you? That was his response. And I didn't even it didn't even register to me that he's like saying, I want you to greet me before you ask me something, right? And he's like, cute. I'm like, we did this like 6 times back and forth before I actually caught on. And I was just like, wait, maybe he's on break, is what I thought. Like, this is my thought process. Like, maybe he's on break. Like, are you working? And he's like, yeah, but I want you to greet me accordingly before you just ask me something. And I was just like, where's your manager? So he goes and gets his manager, because I'm like, I understand. We'll go into the whole story. What's the whole story? So I'm like, where's your manager? And he walks off, and he's like, I'll go get him. Goes to get the manager, whatever. Comes back. I see the manager is the weirdest. She might be a witch, white lady. Like, she had silver purple hair and piercings all over her face. And I'm like, oh, that's his management. He has no clue. So this kid, he kind of reminded me of like my little cousin, right? So I had to explain to him. I said, look, bro. I said, I looked at his nameplate and said his name. I was like, look, you got to understand that I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Kroger when I asked you that. So I'm not even thinking about you as necessarily a person. I'm talking to Kroger. And he's like, yeah, but I'm a person inside of this. And I was like, I understand that. But I'm really only looking at the Kroger part. So I asked Kroger cucumbers. I was like, I didn't mean to make you feel a type of way or disrespect you. It's not about that. And I need you to understand and not take it personal. Like, because even if an irate customer comes in, they're not mad at you. They're mad at Kroger. You know what I'm saying? And while we're having this conversation, I see the manager, like, as soon as I said how goofy she was, I already knew that I had to then be pro-Black in a situation and kind of talk to him about the complete thought process of what went on. And I was like, I understand why you might want that greeting. But right now, this is not about you. You are Kroger, and you are the face of Kroger. So I'm asking Kroger. And in this conversation, another guy chimes in and says, hey, what's those flowers right there? And I was like, see, he just did it the same thing. It's not personal, and you can't take that personal, even though we're here conversing. And he just interrupted, like another person just interrupted and said, hey, flowers? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not personal. He's like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, it's like, I'm like, there's no disrespect towards you. I understand that you wanted a fair greeting. You want to be kind of humanized in the situation, but it's really not personal. And I said, I hope you don't take it that way moving forward. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I think I gotta push back.
I gotta push back. So I gotta push back and hold you accountable. So one, this is, I'm assuming this dude was, much younger. So I'll give him at least a generation under you, right? This is us dropping the ball. And this is why they're like, so you expect me to just shovel crap and just take whatever in hopes of one day I get the better job. And he's like, man, I'm a human being now. I deserve to be treated as such, regardless of what I'm doing. He already probably doesn't want to beat her. He probably like, I got a mixtape coming out, man. I could be out here pushing that, but I'm in here doing this. But regardless, regardless of who I'm dealing with, CEO, clerk, buggy, like, treat them as a person. I remember as a manager, I used to always do that. And the response was always like, so thank you so much for treating me like a human being. So I totally hear what you're saying, but specifically because I was a young brother that looked like you, treat him as a person first. And then he'll be more receptive to whatever coaching you were going to give him. Because he's like, man, he actually cares about me. And we talk about this all the time. When a person feels like it doesn't come from love, they're like, man, forget you. Like, you found a cucumber. I got a cucumber for you. So keep that in mind too. So especially for people that you at least care about, like, I try to do this with everybody, but for people that you at least, you're pro whatever, if they're within that umbrella, at least treat them with such respect and be like, hey, my man, hey, how you doing? Hey, could you tell me where the cucumbers are? And he'll be more receptive to whatever coaching you're going to give him after.
He was receptive to it because, like, the tone changed about time when I seen the manager.
But think about all that time y'all wasted. Like,
I mean, but it was a waste of time for him just not to say down there.
Like, but he kind of was coaching you. Like, he was actually coaching you on how to be a better human.
Not necessarily.
And he's like,
not necessarily, because
so like, for example, if my daughter texts me and be like, Daddy, where'd I leave my laptop? Blah blah blah. I'm like, good morning. Like, I literally do that to her.
No, that's personal. She is not, you or her father, and she is communicating with her father. That's a personal relationship. Like I said, in that moment, I'm not even talking to him. I'm talking to Kroger. And he needs to understand, at any time, you need to understand, when you work for somebody else, you're not you. You representing whatever company you're working for. You're the face of that company. You or that
even
company.
As Kroger wouldn't want you treating their human being employees like drones. Like, until they get the drones and the machines to actually do the work, treat them like human beings. So even if this went to the highest layers of the company, to the CEO, he would be like, yeah, maybe we need to handle that differently. But he would also be like, hey, after you left, be like, hey man, like, I'm with you. Like, customer's always right. Obviously, that's what we're going to tell him. But he's like, yeah, I wish you would have treated you like a human being.
The manager didn't do that. The manager,
maybe after you left, he did, or no, she should have. She should have.
She didn't. She didn't. Like I told you, she was dingy. So like, I ended up checking out at her register. Like, she was begging at the register, and then she then proceeded to apologize to me. Like, yeah, we've been having problems with him. Blah, 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 blah. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, now I'm like, no, it was just a learning moment. He's a better guy now, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm then trying to extend her. But she is coming at me like, she is then like, yeah, I'm really sorry for the interaction earlier. He should have been this. We had problems with him. Like, she instantly threw it. And that's how the world is going to treat you. And that's how the world expects you.
And that's why that's why this next generation think we're goofies. That right there. Like, they're like, man, he loves himself enough. He loved himself enough to be like, wait, hold on. I'm a person. Greet me first. Like, I get this as Kroger. You wouldn't have stopped me otherwise, but greet me first. Like, he loved himself enough to be like, man, I'm a human being. I'm not Mr. Cucumber. Hi.
Regardless of if he's a human being or not, and not in that moment, I'm not being inhuman. I'm in a rush looking for what I'm looking for.
Read the sign.
Services.
See, so think about it.
No, there was no sign. There was no sign. And then he's the produce person. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, it wasn't he could have handled it better. So actually, I was like, in that conversation, I said, look, if you wanted to be humanized and remind me instead of going back and forth, I think the correct response would be like, hi, my name is Marcus. How could I help you? And then that would have woke me up like, oh, if I'm still ignorant after that moment, then I'm like, all right, you're just a jerk. But if that's what you was looking for, instead of being combative and going back and forth, don't meet it with combativeness. Meet it with a correct response of, oh, hi, my name is Marcus, right? So like, even when I greet people, I'd be like, hi, my name's Kevin. And then they'll be like, oh, well, my name is such and such, right? You can't always expect the best out of people whenever, but you can show them in a way. He just didn't understand the full way to go about it without being a jerk about it. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's fair.
I asked him a question and he responded with how you would respond to your daughter, right? But you to your daughter is like, I'm your father, I love you, blah, blah, blah. But the person that don't know
because I'm trying to coach her how to handle that in public. You don't just go and make a request. Like, greet the person first. That's the reason I'm doing it. Because I could just be like, get off my phone because I'm your daddy. But no, like, I want her to be able to, hey, such and such. Hey, can you tell me where, whatever, right? And so, and I'm with you that I think that there was I guess a better way to do it. But if you were gonna, like, because in the end, you had enough care for him that you wanted to try to save him. So on both sides, I think there could have been a better way to handle that.
Absolutely.
And it's two black men. I want both of y'all. I want us to be able to have that conversation internally without running to the overseer. Just be like, hey.
Well, my initial response was, because like, as we're going back and forth, I said, wait, I was like, you're working, right? And he's like, yeah, but I want you to greet me. And I'm like, what? Man, go get your manager. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's my initial response to like, hey, shelve that. We're not even talking about that right now. And that's not even important. Because in a completely different scenario, you going through that process with somebody else that's working produce who's just trying to do their job, they don't want that small bit of interaction. Like, you know what I'm saying? So there's that too. So you never, there's never a perfect way to go at something. Because y'all can be like, hey, how you doing? My name's Kevin. Your name's Marcus.
Well, not even that. Yeah, not even introducing yourself, but just greeting him first. So at the very least, I would like for, as black men, for us to treat each other better. I think it starts like, if we want respect from other people, we have to give each other respect first, and we have to show that. And then this is my push to increase and to better our racial image.
What's your thoughts,
that's all I'm saying.
You know, I have these interactions all the time because I'm in the store at least 3-4 times a day. From what I gathered, if I heard it correctly, you just said one word, and that was the question mark. You said cucumbers. Okay. So, and I mean, I could see how, I mean, he's probably had that type of interaction every day, and he might have had it multiple times during that day where people just, he's, you know, kind of feels invisible, and people just kind of do that. So for me, I don't know, regardless of where I'm at, I always say, excuse me, can you show me this, or can you tell me that? You know what I mean? I always put that in there because I don't know what they're doing. I don't know, you know what I mean, if I'm interrupting them in the middle of something or gonna, so I always just say, hey, excuse me, can you show me where this is at, or can you do that? And then that way that quells any of that, you know what I mean, that negativity, or maybe they was having a bad day already, and you know what I mean, me just coming in and giving a monocule of respect might have changed that whole day. So, you know, I always try to come with respect, and if you come back with disrespect, then I meet disrespect with disrespect. But I always try to start with some general baseline of respect to have that conversation. But I do think that follow up and that, you know what I mean, that conversation was a good teaching moment, regardless. You know what I mean, and the fact that you in a rush where you couldn't initially say excuse me, had a whole conversation with him to bring him back to a teaching moment. I think that was dope too. So, but you know, you could have avoided that whole extra rigmarole by just saying excuse me on the front end.
Yo, listen, as militant as he is, let's take it back to John Eagle. If some old white man came up to him and said, "Hey, cucumber," you'd have did the same thing. You'd have been like,
I wouldn't have. I worked at John Eagle.
I know, that's why I mentioned it.
So when that did happen, over there, or you know what I'm saying, walk you to
I want you to walk me to it, son.
I got you. Because like I said, for that, in that moment, I understand that they're not talking to me, it's the store. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I went through the whole customer service circuit where I've been cussed out on the phone and this and that. And I'm like, why is people taking it personal? I've never taken that kind of stuff personal because it ain't my service. You know what I'm saying? I didn't put up, like, I work for Dish Network, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't put up your satellite dish wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't mess up your program remote. So in those moments, as the customer's like screaming at me, and they even train you, hey, de-escalate the customer. Like, don't take it personal. De-escalate the customer. Keep the customer happy. X, Y, Z. That's the first thing they train you when you're going to do customer service. So I have that level of understanding. Like, even if I'm like outside of my bounds as a customer, not to take it personal. If I was him, somebody would have like cucumber. But who knows how he felt? Like he said, he might have been fed up. And I hate going to the store. Like, anytime I'm like in a store and don't know my direct landscape. You know, I just moved over here, so I'm in a new store. Don't know the landscape. When I go to the store, I'm getting this gone. You understand what I'm saying? And I know exactly where everything is. So when I cannot do that and I'm looking around for stuff, I'm losing it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm going through that. So in that, I'm like, oh, where's the cucumber? And then not seeing nobody for a while. So it's like, as a customer, I have my own situations. And yes, at that moment, I felt it was worthy enough to like, oh, freeze, I'm only making tacos. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to get back to the crib with the tacos. I didn't need cucumbers for the tacos.
That's what I was gonna say. Where did cucumbers
come in? And that was part of the problem. I didn't need cucumbers for the tacos, so I'm getting something that it's not even on my list. You feel what I'm saying? So in that moment, I'm not thinking that, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, hold on. When that interaction, then when I seen the manager, I said, no, she gonna ban me. Let me relax. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let me because there was a point where she was trying to over coaching, and I was like, chill, I got this. We got a conversation. You understand what I'm saying?
100%. And knowing this kind of stuff that we go through, that's why I'm urging you, and that's why I'm pushing back, and that's why I'm challenging you to treat young brothers a little bit better.
I mean, okay.
Please.
No, I mean, it's not something I don't do. Just in that moment, that's what was happening.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. That's my
you know what I'm saying? So
even in your anxiety of, oh man, I can't find the cucumbers.
Oh, you know what that was?
I get it. Hey, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, just greet him. Because I've worked in, I've had employees, and a lot of them, like, you don't know their story. Like, he might be home from college, and he's like, man, I don't even want to be here, but my mom said I can't be sleeping in our house without having a job.
I'm telling you, he had his own frustrations. Like in that interaction, he reminded me of my little cousin. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I understand how he breaks down things, and he would have had a problem in that same moment. And
so a little respect goes a long way. So treat people
just a little bit. You keep
respect.
saying that, but you can't always avoid every interaction.
That's true, but you can always control. You can always control what the respect that you give. And I know we're not even
on the topic yet. But
yes, I'm telling you.
Here's a pushback, right? Like the initial, you know how we would walk down the street and grit on each other. Mm-hmm. Black men. Look, you know, for no giving reason. That's just the initial. Just because, right? Those still aren't controlled. Like, we still do that. We can't necessarily, but it takes us a minute to be like, oh, we shouldn't have did that. Or if it comes to that, we resolve it with some sense. But you can't always avoid those initial interactions of whatever. So you're like, oh, you're urging me to always treat you with respect. I can't guarantee that. I can rectify it, but in that initial, I can't always guarantee interactions like that won't occur. Mm-hmm. Is my pushback. Mm-hmm. Am I making sense? Or
so I mean, I hear you. I hear you. I just like I said, we're way off topic. But so like here's an example. So coming from the north and coming where we come from, the default is a-hole. Let's be clear, like it's a-hole. So I moved to the south, and I've been living here 2-3 years or whatever. And then I remember I had to go up to DC for a cousin's graduation at Howard. So I'm trying to make it easier for folks. I'm like, I'll fly into Reagan and I'll get on the train and I'll ride the train out to where y'all could get me. So I'm on the train. I've been in the South at this point so long. I forgot the whole it's stone face. You know what I mean? Whatever. Yeah. And dude's like he's so cool. He's sitting on the train sideways. And I'm sitting like on the edge, and he's like in my face, like, and I'm like it's making me uncomfortable. So forgetting that, like that whole up north culture, I'm like, hey, what's good, bro? And he's like, so on one hand, I was about to like go there, like, cause I could easily go back, but I was like, oh, it's not that deep, bro. Like literally, I gave him out, like, it's not that deep, bro. You were in my personal space, so I decided to speak.
Break it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it could have easily escalated. We could have been getting into it, but because he was a brother that looked like me, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to give the world the satisfaction to see two brothers get into it on a train because one looked at the other one and didn't speak.
Yeah, right.
So that's all. Like I challenge us to be better to each other.
On with the topic. So, hey, we'll do this. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it fair, you know what I'm saying? What's the prototypical extended family? What you got, Mo?
The prototypical. As far as like how it's constructed.
So when you have extended family, you know what I'm saying, in-laws.
Oh, okay, see, because I wasn't going there because I was thinking I was gonna say like the prototypical blended family is
no. The Brady
stepdaddy came in this ready-made family and tried.
No. I was talking about in-laws. We want to go in-laws and zoom it back, right?
Okay.
So like in-laws of a blended family. We'll go there because it's about blended families today.
Yep.
What's the prototypical blended? I mean, in-laws for a blended family. What's that look like?
So for me, because in my circumstance, I come from a small family. So if for whatever reason that we're placed in a pseudo family, if you're good people, man, I treat you like family. So generally that's the way I go about it. But there's a but, and then there's some people that like, even though like you're forced to now be family, if we don't morally rock, if we just for whatever reason our energies are just different. Like, like you're on some BS that I can't, like, I can do the BS with the best of them. But if I'm not willing to go that far down, I won't do it. And in that circumstances, I feel that I don't have to, you know what I mean? Like, that's when we talked about this before with the whole, oh, well, are you willing to do that? I'm like, well, it depends on how much I love them. In that case, like, no, you were forced upon me. I don't have to love you. Go that way. So there's a certain level of 1B-ness when it comes to them, of amount of crap that I'm willing to take off of you, in that blended scenario. Yeah, man, kids included. Generally I have way more leash for kids, but if you don't take instruction well, I don't want any parts of you.
What you got, Lee? How's the blended in-laws treated you over the years, or what would be perfect about in-laws, you know what I mean, from a blended situation?
You know what? My in-laws has always been pretty solid, you know what I mean? Even in moments where I probably wasn't solid, you know what I mean? They still was dope. So I never really had no problem with my in-laws or my extended in-laws, because there's some degrees of things on the in-law side. But everybody's always been pretty good and accepting, you know what I mean? I never really had too many real issues with anybody. So I think that's probably the prototypical scenario to have, you know what I mean, in-laws who accept you, love you regardless of your faults and where you fall short, and you know what I mean, who's willing to have a conversation with you when you cross the line, and just, you know what I mean, let you know where they stand, you let them know where you stand, and y'all can kind of move forward. And I think the best scenario is just all in love. You know what I mean? You kind of understand that, you were brought in this situation through marriage, and through your bond with their relative. So just having that level of respect and love, I think that would probably be the prototypical situation where everybody just acknowledges and they know where their place is at. Like, regardless of what you feel, how you feel, you know what I mean, you aren't going to cross the line of, this is our marriage. You know what I mean? You guys, we are related to you, but this is our union and not yours. So as long as everybody knows where we stand, and there's that level of respect and love, man, I think that's their prototypical situation.
So that's prototypical. What about when they do overstep?
Then that's where you got to be able to, and whether that's you or whether that's your spouse, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You got to be able to just put them in their place and let them know, hey, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? This is not going to be acceptable, and this is not what we're going to accept. So, it's definitely not easy. It's not an easy thing if you've never been in that situation, or if you've never done that before and it happens. So it's something that, it's probably a learned behavior, and you kind of, figure it out as you're going on. When those lines is getting crossed, getting muddied, you got to figure that out. You know what I mean?
Look, the only reason I can speak to it, because this is my second time around, and I had a very dominant other side of the family previously. Like, they were very much so overbear. So that's why, like, oh, well, don't, it's one of those things like you only need to get bit once by a snake to be like, oh man, there might be snakes in this grass. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things to where I'm very much so sensitive to it to be like, hey, that's an overstepper. Keep them away from me. You know what I mean? Like, they're probably like, it's not that deep. I'm like, trust me, it is.
Shoot, that y'all have very different perspectives than me, man. Because I kind of hear from the other side. My experience has not been that way. I've had some rough patches, but not entirely. So where I'm gonna go with it is, so you guys, y'all both kind of said know your place. You know what I mean? And I'm more of I don't mind a place as long as you're fair in your place. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't mind people speaking on it as long as you're fair in the observations or the assessment or whatever. Because I can totally be tripping. Just how you just held me accountable. Like, nah, you said that wrong. You started off the interaction wrong, right? So like in the situation, if they both can be fair in whoever's wrong or make correct judgments, I'm open to that kind of feedback. You know what I mean? And I might still be because
right now I was about to say
what.
Look, if you don't respect that person or you don't trust their judgment, you ain't.
Oh no. It's like I said, as long as they're fair in their assessment.
They can be fair, but if you don't respect them, they could be being fair, and you're like, because it's them, you're like, I don't want to hear none of that. Like, I could totally see you doing that. Be like, I don't want to hear none of that.
No,
because you don't respect them.
No, because I mean, if they're an in-law, if they're an extended in-law situation, I automatically try to give them and this is what I was going to speak to is because of my yearn for acceptance in family, right? Okay. So I automatically put them in a bucket of, hey, stepdad, stepmom, you're my mom, you're my dad. I'm gonna treat you, respect your opinion, X, Y, Z. But when I come to you and be like, your daughter's like such and such and such and such, and you're like, no. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now we have a problem. Like, oh, I was pseudo submissive to your guidance before, and I'll sit down and listen to anything you got to tell me. But the moment I see you're not fair in your judgments, now it's like I'm departing you, and you can't even be a part of this family. I'll exile you. You understand what I'm saying? So that's kind of one of those things where, like, I don't care if you got an opinion on the situation or not, as long as you're fair in the assessment. If I'm tripping, please let me know. But you're not going, and then when they're tripping and she's tripping, please let her know. But if you're not doing both of that, or it doesn't make sense, then yeah, now we got a problem, and you're no longer accepted in the realm of the trust circle. I'll say, right, something like that. So I guess prototypically, like I said, a fair judgment on whatever, and healthy love. You know what I mean? Which could be whatever subjective, but I wouldn't say it's hard, but I mean that's hard enough. Just those two things.
I'll say that's not common. I'm gonna just be honest with you, man. That's not common that they're gonna be fair straight down the middle. For whatever, well, I know why, because blood. They're gonna side with their, and I'm okay with that.
With they foe.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Like, and I understand that.
I'm not though. I'm not.
Because here's the thing. Because for the most part, I have a small family. I've always been in blended scenarios, right? So I understand that I might not always have the big joker, and that's okay. But it's when it's like when it's rigged too much, that's when I'm a buck. But for the most part, man, I understand it. There's going, like, if it's like 50-50, like they're gonna put a little pinky on it to make it tilt that way. Tilt it. And I understand that, and that's okay. So I'm like, but with that being said, you have to understand that in every disagreement doesn't call for an exile. Like, I understand that too.
I understand it. It's just not fair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's me being a baby about it. Like, it's not fair though. Because like I'm being, I don't like to be guarded with my people. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I want to be completely open, loose, whatever. And when you make me feel like I gotta be this is gonna be the topic, right, for the day. When you make me feel like I gotta protect myself against somebody I'm supposed to trust, we have a problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can't. There's no little and a lot with me. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's either all or nothing. I can't trust.
Yeah, there's no big eyes, no little U's. I get it, and I'm the same way because I come from a smaller family. So I understand that, but you don't be mad at it when it comes up, though. It's human nature.
Yeah, anything you want to elaborate on, Lee?
Nah, I mean,
you said your piece.
I expect that. Yeah, I mean, I did, but I mean, I expect that. Like, if it's your family, I expect them to have your side. If it's my family, I expect them. Now they'll acknowledge, I'm not always right. You know what I mean? Sometimes I could be messed up, but hell, you chose me. You knew what the hell it was. So, you know what I mean? What you want them to do at this point? You want them to take your side in the argument? It really doesn't matter. Like, they don't matter inside of our house. So, you know what I mean? What does it? I mean, I guess it maybe validates your feelings for a moment, but it has nothing to do with what's going on in this house. You know, if you're going to stay, you're going to stay. If you're going to leave, you're going to leave. So, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I expect that, you know, and if they didn't have your back and they was already ready to jump on my back or jump on my team without even having all of the facts or whatever, it's just like, you know, I don't trust you now. Because you turning on your own blood this quick.
Because you're not loyal.
You ain't have all the facts. You just, you know, she had the tendency to get overreact.
Wait a minute. You don't trust.
You know what I mean?
If she turned on her family, you don't trust the family now?
No, if the family turned on her.
Yeah, if the family turned on her, you don't trust the even if she's tripping.
I don't.
Before they even know if she's tripping. Before they even know,
because they don't even
know. But they know her.
It don't matter. They don't matter.
The one time that she was
anecdotal
actually
stuff.
Level-headed.
Yeah, that's anecdotal
I like people that are thinkers.
Experiences.
Yeah, I like people that are thinkers.
So
and they
get the information. If you don't got the information and you just going off emotion, I don't trust you because I don't trust.
Yeah, you just a sheep.
People like that.
I will say, if they are a jealous one of her, they've been waiting for her to fall. So anytime they get an opportunity to side against her, they'll probably take it just to make them so. There's that. Like there's that kind of family dynamics where, like, I secretly hate my cousin, and her husband consoled me about XYZ, but I told him to leave her because she's, you know what I'm saying. But I always was jealous of my cousin or something like that. So I can see that being truthful, where you're like, oh well, if you told me. If you said she's crazy anyway, then you didn't love her anyway. I can see that, but if you trust them, I don't know. Like if they're wrong, and they side against her because she's wrong, like that's
no. I'm fine with that. What we're saying is before they even know, like they have
the information.
Yeah.
Before they had if she went calling,
if their default is to choose you,
and then they went and the default was to choose me without even hearing the fact, then I wouldn't trust.
That's a red flag.
I think it might be a different situation. Say we both grew up together and both of our families were real close and everybody knew everybody. Then it may be a different situation because you know what I mean. The size is different. My situation ain't been like that because I'm from over here. She's from over here. We knew we met each other in our adult life. You know what I mean? So it was a different situation. And I'm not saying that this is pertinent.
Real. That's happening.
They would never. Yeah, they would never take my side. Even if they'd probably take her side. You know what I mean? They probably take her side. And then, you know what I mean, on the back end, be like, you know, you was right, but I ain't never going against my blood type stuff. You know what I mean? And I expect that. That's all cool. I ain't mad at that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm just saying in general, if somebody end up going against their own blood like that, there's no guy I can trust them, man.
2-part question. When's the best time to drop your guard with your new person and your children? And 2, how do you gain trust if you are a person without kids or whatever, or maybe you do have them? How do you gain the trust of your spouse's kids or your spouse's trust with their kids?
So that's a lot to unpack, but I try to lead with love. That's the one. So let's I know I got in trouble
saying
this before a little bit. So I'm gonna lead with this. So I always try to lead with love. Now, obviously, I got in trouble about this a couple shows ago, talking about that sanitation work. I wouldn't want no parts of it anyway. But let's say I did. Oh, I remember HD was mad because sanitation. I was like, I said what I said. But with that being said, though, man, I like, and the reason why I didn't want to do it, because if I did, I'm never gonna mistreat no child. Like, I'm always going, like, if they're in my care and they're under my authority, I'm gonna treat them like they're mine. Like, they're not gonna get no what's left or no turkey ass, or whatever. Like, they gonna get what everybody else in this house get, because they're part of this family at this point. I don't believe in step or the Mr. Uncle. I don't believe in that. Like, if you're under my covering and you're under my protection, I'm gonna treat you like you mine. You know what I mean? Because that's the love and the grace that I got growing up, man. I was welcomed with open arms. Hell, I forgot I really wasn't blood, to be honest. Like, I was treated so well. So I'm always gonna lead with that. So as far as a guard, I guess that came into play once I decided to actually be a permanent fixture in the life of either in that woman and her kids or her family. That's when I decided to let my guard down, when I made that vow to be there. That's that. I'll hold off the rest of it because I would imagine you're going to probably ask about that in another question. But that's the biggest thing, is I'll lead with love. And then as to when you let down that guard is when you make that decision in your mind and your heart that you're going to be there long term.
I like that answer. What you got, Lee?
So,
or you got it?
I'm gonna wing it. So I tend to agree with Mo on the piece about not really believing in the step and all that stuff, man. I've said it over and over and over again. So I had the flip side of that situation, right? And for me, it was always about, if this was the decision that I was going to make, then for me it was like, okay, well, I need to build a relationship with the child first. You know what I mean? And that relationship has to be a strong, separate from the relationship with me and mom, because I never wanted it to feel like there was, that there was something different or something weird or something out of place. You know what I mean? I wanted it to just feel like this was home, period.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of whether, you know what I mean? And my daughter's father, he's in her life. So it's like, you know what I mean? There's no discrepancy there, none of that there. But I've always been, like, it was always important to me to be like, look, there's people out here who have no dad. You know what I mean? You have two that love you dearly. You know what I mean? That makes you special. You know what I mean? And don't let nobody ever tell you anything different. So that was always me. So yeah, like, lead with love, but also build the relationship. And I think that becomes a problem with a lot of people, is they go in and they build a relationship with mom, or they build a relationship with dad. They don't have a relationship with the kid. And then they wonder why the kid don't respect them, or wonder why the kid is acting up, or wonder why the kid, doesn't desire to have their approval. You know what I mean? And that's because they didn't build their own relationship with the kid. So I think that's an important part. And to really, just like I said, make it so it's not step, like, this is my daughter, this is my kid, regardless of anything else, of any blood, of any biology. This is, by all intents and purposes, this is my daughter, and I've always treated her as such, and will continue to treat her as such. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the best way to go about it. You know what I mean? You have to have that relationship in order to be able to do anything, in order to chastise, in order to gain respect, in order to do anything. You got to build the relationships. I think that's the key.
In order to ask where the cucumbers are, all that.
I absolutely agree. You got to build the relationship, and if you don't build the relationship, none of it's going to work. Like, none of it's going to work. You know what I mean? So when you're going to go ask the kid to do anything, whatever it might be, through love or hate or a chore or whatever, they're not going to be open to it if their own relationship is not.
You not my daddy. You not my mommy. You not. I don't gotta listen to you.
And something else that popped in my head while you said that. Obviously, you have to lead with love and you have to build that relationship. There's a caveat to that. The other spouse, let's say, the blood parent, they need to enforce that as well, and they need to make sure that that's a requirement. Yeah, that's a requirement.
You think so?
Yes, because there is no, after I get on you, you could go to your mom and be like, I know, baby, this, oh, don't worry about it. Mr. Mo get like this sometimes. No, like that was a house decision.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, okay. You're saying the blood parent in the house has to then support the step parent. Okay, I thought you was talking about.
And foster that relationship. And foster that relationship that, hey, this is not your daddy, but he's gonna be somebody that's gonna be here. So you need to treat him like your father.
So that's a part of the first question, though, right? When do you drop that guard where you can trust if stepmom, stepdad is right in saying whatever they want to say to your kid that you're not going to undermine, right? So
when you make that decision, So when you make that decision that you're going to be in each other's life,
so it's still blind. It's basically what you're saying. It's still blind, kind of just jump in, like, hey, I'm gonna be here.
Well, no, because you've already experienced that person and you've made informed decision that I'm committing myself to, in that circumstance, this woman and her child. To be in their life.
Let's talk about what that feels like, though. As far as when you feel you can do that, I'm trying to pull this answer out of you. When did you know that your wife can then spend time alone with your daughter? You understand?
I do. Yeah. When I trusted her character. And to be fair, because I know where you're going with this, and to be fair, literally that was kind of, because I know I kind of do it in reverse of how you felt about it. We talked for like a year maybe before she ever even met my daughter. Literally, that was kind of the last stone on the arm bar. Like I was like, man, she passed this test. I think it's over. You know what I mean? Like I was almost looking for a reason to slip out. Like, you know what I mean? So, and when that happened, I was in literally like, hell, we've been over y'all place and people that don't know, they thought that was her daughter because of the bond they had. And they almost kind of looked alike and they kind of acted similar. And they're like, you look just like your mom. And I was like, just go with it. Just go with it. Like, we don't want to have to explain it. Like, just go with it. Like, thank you. Thank you. Where's the cucumber? That's all. So,
is that gonna be the
that's good. but yeah, so that's when I determined that they're gonna be a part of my life. I also made that decision for my daughter that she was a good choice to be a part of her life.
We kind of already went over the next question a little bit. We could probably dig a little bit deeper. How do you manage the kids and the mom's and wife's relationship? So the kid's mom or the kid's dad in your home, right? Because that's essentially what the show's about, is managing the blended family. What steps do you take to manage all these different personalities, parties, rules, restrictions, you know what I'm saying, to make sure that you at least have peace in your home?
And this is tough, I'll be honest. This is very tough. And this is what I've learned that works for me. What happens in this house is set by the people that are in this house. You know what I mean? And hopefully that doesn't, morally and stuff like that doesn't stray too far from the other house. That's what you would hope. But obviously there's not 100% alignment, or you would have still been with that other person. So I understand that part of it. But what happens in this house and what goes in this house is based upon the adults that are in this house. If you can't abide by that, well, you got to go over there. Because a kid will play that game too. Oh, well, let's say I'm out doing a prototype bachelor party or something, and my daughter was with my fiance, now wife, and she told her, "Oh, well, time to go to bed." My mom let me go to bed at 10:30. Well, here's 10. That's the rule. Like, you can't call your mom and be like, "Man, Miss So-and-so said." Well, if that's the case, she need to come pick you up, because as far as this house, she is an extension of me, and whatever she says goes. And if you do that, that generally cuts out all BS. And then if there's issue with that other person, they got to take it up with you, and you have to back your spouse and be like, "Hey, as far as this house goes, man, we're a united front, and that's what we're going with. Sorry, not sorry."
What you got, Lee?
That's a good question, man. I don't really have a good answer for that, man, because I've never really encountered any never encountered anything on the outside infiltrating its way into my household. It's always been, we develop, we build, we create for this household, and whatever works in households elsewhere, it's a little bit different. And I guess it's different because, we're in a whole different state. So it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, you're here during the week, you're there on the weekend type thing. It's like, early on, it might have been like a situation where, she was here all year round, and then during the summer, she would go down there. But now she's old enough to work, you know what I mean? And, she decides if she wants to go and visit or not, or if she wants to go for a week, or if she wants to go for a month. So, we kind of let her, have that conversation and make the decision on, if she's going to go, how long she's going to go, and things like that. But yeah, what goes in our household goes in our household, man. We don't dictate anything about what goes on in, grandma's household, what goes on in daddy's household down there, or what goes on in auntie's household. That's your treat. You know what I mean? That's your treat. Whatever they doing down there, hey, have fun. But when you come back here, you know what I mean? We have our own set of rules that you are going to abide by, and I don't want to hear about what nobody else got going on in their household, because it don't matter in here. Once you come into Casa de Lili, it is a wrap. You know what I mean? None of that other stuff matters. So I never really had to encounter any of that stuff, man. So I don't really have a good take on it. I would imagine it. I would imagine it's probably a little bit different for men, grown men, than it is for maybe women and boys. You know what I mean? Because they might be a little more. It might be a different situation, but you know what I mean. It's never been that type of situation where I had to worry about that. So
I think my approach was to make everything all inclusive, right? Join all forces, make one big happy family. It got to a point with me where I was still vetting my kids' mom's boyfriends. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're coming over, and I'm like a brother to a sense where I'm vetting the people she was dating. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of weird to say it now, but the fact that she would tell him, like, "Hey, you got to go meet my kid's dad and let him check you out before we move forward." It's an honor for me. But if I was a dude in that situation, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird. But and they came in skeptical, but I diffused. I know how uncomfortable and weird that situation can be. So I always came with an open invitation of joy, comfort. Hey, bro, you hungry? Hey, you need a beer? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's cool. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, let me show you how comfortable I am in my situation to not want your situation. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, but so, because I've been there, done that.
I think the caveat to that, though, is he might look at her like, this dude cool as heck. What you do wrong?
So it could be that. So it could be like, so this dude seems very stable and agreeable. This might mean that you're a knucklehead or you're unstable, right? So it could be that, or you could be like, this dude's so good. If he ever decided he wanted to circle back, he could. And that's the part that always catch. And that's why it almost doesn't make sense to be doing the vetting and stuff like that. So whatever deals with the child, you're part of that. You need to know where to pull up to if there's an issue. That's how I use that scenario. I wasn't necessarily vetting you to be the boyfriend or whatever, because when I used to do that, that's what it was always. Oh, well, I don't know if he ever decided. Now, granted, I went 10 years single after my divorce, so I was out here. So he could have been like, man, I don't want him to circle back and hit my joint. When it was never that, but I was like, I'm just making sure that the person is going to be around my daughter is
solid.
That's all.
Yeah. I could definitely say
to a man that doesn't if somebody tried to do that to me, it would have felt wild. So, and when you ever turn that mirror to yourself, that's when you realize how weird something could be. Yeah, but I totally feel you, because I've been at a banquet table, and that's what I was going to say to Leifer. You're starting to get to that era where you're going to probably starting to have, you're going to have to think about this. You're going to have graduations, you going to have proms, you know what I mean? And that's that biological father that may not have always been around for those decisions. He might be around now and be like, oh, well, let her hike that skirt up a little bit. Won't do that. Won't do that. We ain't showing this. We ain't, we're going to put a shawl over it. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So, that might be something that needs to be thought about, because it's going to come up if he comes in and wants to throw around and start being part of those decisions. You're like, whoa, I respect it, but I think that she should be whatever, if it differs from however you see things happening.
I mean, by the time she's 18, I don't think she's gonna care what either one of us said. She always say that anyway. She, well, next year I'm gonna be 18. Next year I'm gonna be 18. You ain't gonna be able to tell me. I'm like, stop it. Yeah.
You still eating this food at Casa de Lily.
Right. You're gonna still be on this insurance till case of they 26 years old. You better get your mind right. But nah, I don't. I mean, there's certain things that you just gotta, you got to be able to, understand it. As somebody grows, they're going to make their own decisions. So I think I've left space in my militant mind about raising children for that growth. It's incremental. And sometimes, it gets stepped on regardless. And, there needs to be teaching moments. We got to kind of bring it back because kids want to jump the gun and they think they're ready for things they're not ready for. But, by the time she's 18, 19, 20, 21, she's going to start to make these decisions on her own. And regardless of if somebody else wants to come in and they want to have a say or they want to, that's fine. You know what I mean? That's no different than, everybody else coming in and having a decision. By this time, she's probably, I'm guessing she's going to be mature enough to, make a
Right. Hopefully you didn't brainwash her and indoctrinated her enough already anyway.
It's a wrap. You know what I mean? By that time. But yeah, so for me, it's not really, I don't really see a problem with that. I mean, like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. So, if you have a perspective that's different than mine, maybe there's something I'm missing, and I don't mind that. And she can synthesize all of that information, being an adult human being, and decide what's best for her in her life. And we as parents will be here to try to guide, but control is done. Ain't no more control.
For the last question, this is probably my favorite question. How do you prevent jealousy amongst the children? What you got, Mom?
Treat them all the goddamn same, please. And that was something I always thought about. And I had a very good example of this. Like I said, man, I came from a very small family, but I was always treated the same. But even in my mind, I always knew that I wasn't, when I was little, I always knew that I wasn't blood, right? And I always remember something my grandfather, and this is the grandfather who ended up raising me. I always remember how we went over there one time, and I had a cousin, or older cousin, he's 2 years older than me. He was the favorite, or at least so it seemed. And I guess just in the back of my mind, I was taking a back seat, and from that family, he noticed it, my grandfather, and he was like, man, don't ever take a back seat to nobody. And he was like, we love you the way you are. We love you just as much as we love him. It just so happens that you don't come around as much. And the reason I didn't come around as much because I felt like I was a +1. And that changed everything for me. The fact that I had somewhere to call home. I had somewhere that was home base. And it was maybe 10 years later, I was literally walking through the hood about to do something I wasn't supposed to do. And I realized, you know what? I'm home. And I literally went back over to my grandparents' house and never left. And I ended up finishing my high school career there because I knew that was home base based on a conversation that happened 10 years prior to, I don't know, like a 5-year-old. And was like, yo, you don't ever, like, this is home for you. Like, we're your people. We love you. And you're not our step grandchild or whatever, or the lady that, our son and Phil got tender for, and now he want to, take on a ready-made family. Like, it was never like that. It was like, we love you. And now, granted, I literally came from the hospital home to their house. So obviously they going to love me, but they could have not have. But they were like, hey, you are very much, just as much our blood as anybody else in this family or in this house. And so I always had that mindset. Anybody who's under my protection, under my authority, you ain't going to get XJ900s than my daughter getting every pair of J's. Like, we going to all go and shop for the J's together. Like, ain't nobody going to know unless you tell them that I'm not your blood daddy. So that's the way to keep the jealousy out. And, you can't change what's in somebody's head or what somebody's putting in their head. Because sometimes that's what's bigger is the outside influences. That ain't your real daddy. So be mindful. Make sure he ain't looking at you crazy. Like other people put that kind of stuff in your head, in a kid's head. But to keep that from happening, totally treat them the same. Treat like you shouldn't even realize that that's your stepchild. And that's the way to keep the jealousy out of it.
I mean, I'll go. For me, I got two very different experiences. I can say when I grew up, right, I was always kind of like you, the step, right? But a lot of people didn't even know because I'm actually named after my stepdad. So it's kind of one of those things where, like, it wasn't until I went to my biological dad's funeral and it was like, wait a minute, what you doing here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but even still, I think people did know, but nobody ever spoke about it. So I never really felt outcast to a degree. I will say, I always was the prototypical one, though, if that makes sense. I was.
What do you mean?
The good one. So I was the one who continued to play sports. I was the one who was going to graduate school. I had the bigger dream, the bigger aspiration out of the family, right? So I might have played that role because I knew, like, if I was just the all-out bad one, I might have been outcasted. Like, oh, he ain't already. Maybe not. I truly don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not. But I kind of felt like I put that burden on myself, just how you was kind of like, I'm gonna take a back seat because I know I'm not blood. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like maybe if I wasn't the one that was going to go to college, I probably would have been outcast. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But when things started to get on track and I started to become the good one, I think people were a lot more accepting, or it was because of that I thought that I was a lot more accepting. They probably accepted me bad or good. Right. To how you say treat all kids the same, I agree, but I don't, because I think every child is unique.
Yeah, they need something different, but like they're all getting the same amount of love and the same amount of you. Right. Like the effort isn't any less in that shouldn't be any less in that stepchild. Like they shouldn't feel like they don't love me the same.
Right.
They don't love me the same.
Right. So I feel like giving them what you're exactly right. Giving them what they need to based on their love language is what's important. So that, I mean, I agree with you, but just with that caveat, I'm just going to, I guess, elaborate or extend that. Yes, give them the same effort and love and patience and time and whatever to each kid, but just make sure you're not loving one kid like you're loving the other. And you know what I'm saying, because they all have different needs, and that's the only thing I'll add to that piece. What you got, Lee?
Nah, that was exactly one of the things that I was going to hit on there. Is you know what I mean? I agree. You want to make sure you give them the same amount of love, but you want to make sure you're loving them in the way that they need to be loved. And maybe that's the same. Maybe you luck up, and they need to be loved in the same way. You know what I mean? Typically, it's not that.
That'll make it so much easier. Oh my god.
Yeah. Typically, it's not that way. You know, I'm one of 4, and we grew up in the same household, same parents, everything. And if you talk to us all about our lives growing up, we all have an extremely different perspective on things, and it's almost like somebody is lying. Like you have to be. There's no way. But it's that we just picked up on, like we gravitated toward different things from our parents. We needed different things. We were affected differently by different things. So I think regardless of whether they're biological or not biological, you want to make sure you're tapping into the way they need to be loved specifically. But like we all kind of said, it's like, you want to make sure that love is equivalent across the board. You know what I mean? You want to have the same amount of love, but you want to love them in the way that they need to be loved, whatever that way is. So I think for mine, because the age differences are so different. You know, got a 17-year-old and a 2-year-old. My son, he talks, but I mean, we're not having conversations. So, you know what I mean? It's like he's down here. So he has a specific thing that he needs. It's a boy, so you know he needs that physical interaction. You know, we got to get rough and tumble and play and stuff like that. He loves it. He laughs. You know what I mean? He also loves when I teach him new things. Like he loves to learn. You know what I mean? So he loves when I spend that extra time trying to get him to do something and to kind of you know, he even understands when I critique him. I'm like, hey, no, not that way. Do this. And then he tried it, and then he gets it, and then he's like, yay, I did it. And, you know, he gets really excited, and he loves it. You know what I mean? And then, you know, my daughter, she's more of a, like, touchy-feely type of person. She loves, you know, she needs to be hugged, and, you know what I mean? She wants to be able to feel the love. So, you know, got to love her in that way, but also she has a, you know, well, I say she touches Philly, but only when she wants to be. You know what I mean? Like she wants to hug you. She don't want you to hug her. You know, that type of thing. So it's funny, but you know, just giving them the amount of time and effort. You know what I mean? And you know, being able to love them with the equal amount of time that they need in whatever way that they need. I think that is the best way to do it. But also, man, just getting that whole idea of step or something separate or non-biological, just getting that out of your mind and just feeling like, man, these are my kids. You know what I mean? This is my household. They are under my covering, and I am going to take care of them no matter what. If somebody was to break into this house, there is no one that I'm going to protect over the other. I am going to protect them, both of them, with my life, and that is that. So I think that's the way that I would go ahead and I would look at that, and I would, you know, try to do it, you know, try to love them equally, but not the same. You know what I mean? You just got to love them how they need to be loved, man. And I'll give a shout out to my daughter because, you know, as much as I should be teaching her, she teaches me every single day, man. And that was one of the things that she, you know, told me maybe a year and a half ago. It's like, yo, man, you got to love me how I need to be loved, not how you want to love me. So, you know, shout out to my baby girl.
I would be like, who you talking to? Who told you that?
So look, this dude.
I certainly said that. It was funny. I said, I'm the daddy. I'm supposed to tell you, you know, but, you know.
Oh, that's that old school parenting. I brought you in this world. But think about this. But think about this. So I think we're all talking about that love and meeting them where they're at. And I think where it shows up at, from a kid's perspective, if we were to like sit in the kid's seat, is the patience. When you have very short patience with that kid, they're like, that's where they feel like they don't have enough patience with me because I'm not theirs or whatever, right? So the fact that you got the like, hell, man, you didn't raise your daughter, hell, so long, like y'all have that bond. But the fact that your son came so much later, I would imagine nobody ever was like, whenever he has the son, he's going to treat them differently. That's the litmus test. Like, anybody that knows you, no one should have ever been able to say that and be like, I bet you it ain't going to be like that when, Lil Leafer comes around. Like that's the bar right there. Like, that's when you show your chops as a parent, or a step parent, as you will. Like, man, I love them. I gave them exactly what it is, what they needed, when they needed it. It wasn't, I'm holding back because it ain't really mine. No, if you really get your parenting chops, once you made that decision, you should love that child as if it was theirs. Like, man, we just going through this. Like, we're going to just work our way through it. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like I deal with this all the time. Like, hell, I got God kids that, man, I'm going through it with them. Like, they're like, sir, you can't talk. I'm like, I'm going to talk. Like, I'm in parent-teacher conference. I'm like, oh, I can't talk? Okay. So I'm going to just text it to the blood parent to be like, hey, say this. You know what I mean? Like, once I'm in, I'm in. And a kid feels that level of engagement and that level of commitment. And when they don't feel it, that's what, like, man, you don't really rock with me, so I don't rock with you. So, and kids internalize that. Kids know that. And I know that from personal experience. Obviously, I didn't necessarily deal with that from like my grandparents, but like, as I had a young mom. So, as boyfriends came and like, they were just tolerating me to try to get to my mom. And I felt that. I'm like, man, get out of here. I don't rock with you, man. Beat it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm more of a man than you are. You know what I mean? Like, so, but when somebody was a decent dude, you know what? You're right. Okay. I'll accept that.
Yeah.
It is before I had the concept of money. So it ain't even had nothing to do with that. It was about honor and respect. And a dude that wasn't honorable and didn't have respect, I was like, man, that, I can't follow his lead. And so that's the part where you have to have that level of connectivity to that child, to where they know that you're in it with them and you're not going to shun them because, oh, well, he didn't go to college, or he ain't doing what I wanted him to do, whether it was sports or whatever. So he's just going to leave me alone. That's where you got to get your parenting chops when it comes to this blended family, when you're willing to go through that storm with them, regardless blood or not. And that's how you get your parenting chops, in my opinion.
You wasn't one of those kids like, hey, give me $1.
Nope. Yeah, no, yeah, I wasn't that dude. Like,
I tried it twice. I tried it a few times. And like, no.
Yeah, no. Like now, if I saw you as a bad choice, I might try to run you off. Like
listen, the cold treatment.
Yeah. Like my parents split. I was, I don't know what, 7 whenever my little sister was born. So I'm like 6.5 years older than her. And I'll never forget when my dad left, he told me I was the man of the house. So I felt like I had to vet my mom's partners. Like, so I remember being like, this ain't it. Like, and it wasn't like, oh, he ain't my daddy, so I don't want you here. It was just, you ain't a good fit for this family. Beat it. Yeah, like, beat it. And not like for me, for us, because I felt like I was protecting a baby sister, a mom, myself. You know what I mean? That's way too much pressure to have on a kid, to be honest. Yeah, that's way too much pressure, to be honest. But with that being said, I was having like that. So this whole vetting thing, like, this is easy for me. I've been doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, that's not a good dude. Get him out of here. Now, whether you listen or not, that's up to you. But I'd be like, get him out of here.
I couldn't completely run people off because I understood, like, he got the dinner tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I couldn't completely just be like, but my mom went through this phase of like dating Africans, and that's not going to go with us American kids like that. Like, we're all, well, Leafer's a little bit different, but like, we're all the way American. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the worst ways, I'll say. So like, when a dude would come over in some sandals, he's like, he got on sandals, man. Get out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or one dude this Jamaican dude she was dating, he brought over some beef patties. I ain't eating that beef patty. Get out. No, they're fire. They're really fire. I missed out.
Hey, yo, you're hilarious.
I'm not eating no beef patty. Get that out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, or when they come over with that accent, you don't sound like me, man. Get out of here. Like,
you don't even speak American.
I didn't say that to I'm sure he didn't take it as an insult, but Leifer he's always had an open mind to other cultures, so that's what I said. Like we're all the way American, where he's just a little bit more.
So personally,
I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes from at least where we come from. I don't know where you got it from, Leifer, but like, man, we weren't really exposed to like many other cultures. So if it wasn't this
church,
it's bad. Okay. You know what? You're right. That's probably where it came. My first dashiki and kente cloth was at church, going to an AME church, because I was like, I don't know about this. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, boy, I was FBA back then, so. But no, man, I'm sure it served you well is having that open-mindedness, because I can be honest, man, I was very much closed-minded until, what they say, exposure leads to expansion, until I was exposed to other things and had positive interactions with it. If it wasn't this, I don't want no parts of it. So I'm sure it served you well.
I mean, I don't know about serving me well, but you know what I mean? Even since I was a kid, like young kid, man, there was, people from all over the world who kind of, came through my church, or kind of, came, they had the little missionary programs, things like that. But we even had like a pastor who came a long time. When I was a kid, he came from Ghana and everything. He got family a little bit now, but he's still a minister at my church. But he was like a second dad to me back then. You know what I mean? So, I had a great relationship with him. I still have a great relationship with him. So, it's just, I don't know, it's a different perspective on a lot of things. So, because I just had relationships with people of different cultures since I was a kid. So, especially people who look like me, you know what I mean? It really made me think a lot more about, okay, what are they not telling us? You know what I mean? Like, what is happening? What's going on around the world where there's people all around the globe who look like me, and you're telling them they're not me. So, so that's all where that came from, just curiosity.
Hey, great show tonight, fellas. I think this is a good one, man. We got a lot of content off of this one. I'll be sharing stuff all week. But hey. Man, I appreciate all you guys, and that's another Prototype Dad. We out.